Welcome to The Brain Dump, where we study the psychology of success. Join us as we probe the habits, rituals, and routines of top-performing artists, entrepreneurs, authors, athletes, and more to uncover the timeless principles we can all use to take our lives to the next level. Are you ready to plunge the grunge that's been gunking up your mind's eye? Great, then let's get to it.
What do you...
Guys, welcome back to the Brain Dump. I don't know how I became the announcer all of a sudden for the Brain Dump, but he's the brain, I'm the announcer. So mate, never mind. I'm the dump. You're the brain.
I'm the brain, you're the dump. I do want it to be, it is interesting. I've gone back and started re-listening to like our first episodes, and I did all the intros, and then at some point you just took over. I think I must have sucked at them or something.
I love it, man. So, once again, I just decided what we were going to talk about 5 minutes, and you probably haven't read it yet. Is this a
challenge?
No,
challenge. You're challenging me to a read.
Don't challenge him about books, guys. Yeah. So this seems to be a big factor. I just got off of 3 coaching calls this week. If you have not partake in the book, The Gap and the Gain, I really feel like it was a book that I was waiting for. Like it was a book that was written for me. And the concept that we're going to talk about
that's Dan Sullivan and Ben Hardy, right?
Yes. It's a very amazing book. But the main point in that book was measuring yourself against your ideal self or where you've come from. Right. And I'm seeing a lot of clients that have really great success. I'm talking about, I have clients that are worth he made 3.5 million last year, and he says this comment. I think it's the funnest thing in the world, because he's like not happy with a couple projects he's doing right now. He kind of wants to get rid of them. He doesn't know that we will be getting rid of them. I just haven't let him know yet. And he says, well, I guess I could scale back on a couple things and make $1 million this year, and I guess I would still be happy. And I'm like,
you're not happy now.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, I think that would be enough. I think that'd be enough money, but that's really how we think. And I think this is the point I'm trying to drive home. You don't have to scale. You don't have to hire. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to show up for this call. Anthony doesn't have to show up this call. I don't have to show up for this call. I don't have to show up for the meetings I had today. But it's this pull against this ideal self that we're creating versus what we're currently living and doing, that we're just not happy no matter where we're going.
Yeah. I was listening yesterday to, I've been struggling a lot with this recently. It's really interesting. The timing of this conversation's really spooky in a lot of ways, because before we went live here, I was journaling, and specifically I was journaling. I write this journal every month to my partner, kind of like little love notes. And one of the things that I've been struggling with, and one of the things that she's been struggling with, is the sense that like we're building this future, but not necessarily building that future together. And one of the things I shared with her was that I'm really struggling right now to understand what it is I want to build. So I'm having a hard time getting clarity on what I want, much less like building this thing together. Right. And so that just like complicates things and gets harder. So I was like being vulnerable and sharing that reality. And what you're talking about there is like, I was listening yesterday to a podcast with Russell Brunson where he was talking about his process for setting goals. And it was really interesting because his process, let me see if I can recite this accurately. He talks about setting like your legacy goal or like your Hall of Fame goal, which is like, what do you want to achieve in your lifetime? And then your Super Bowl goal, which is what do you want to achieve in the next 12 months? And then behind that then is like setting your identity and saying like, what is the identity of the person I need to become to achieve those things? Because the identity that you currently have isn't sufficient, right? Like there's a gap between who you are and who you need to be able to get those things. Otherwise you'd already have those things. Right. And so you start with the identity, and then underneath of that, it creates like this 3-legged stool of your beliefs. Like, what do you believe about the world or about yourself? Your values, and then your rules. And it's the values, I think, that you're talking about right here, which is like, some people value hard work. Like we know Hormozy is all about like that work grind lifestyle. He's like, do hard work. That's the purpose of life. But some people don't resonate with that. Like some people don't want to do hard work. Some people want to do as little work as possible and have as much free time as possible. And is there a wrong answer? I don't think there is. There's just like different answers for different people. And one of the things that we talked about in one of our earliest episodes was like this idea that, are you dreaming your own dream? I think it was episode 1. Or are you dreaming a dream that's been implanted? Or like, how did Leland put it? Like injected
values of others.
Yeah. And so that's what I'm hearing. Like, as you're talking about like scaling back from 3 to 1, or like not having to scale and like grow and hire and do these things, is like, yeah, man, like even a year after like doing brain dump episodes, we talk about this stuff all the fucking time. And I live and breathe this stuff. And I talk about it with my coaching clients, and like, and still, it's still like, am I dreaming my own dream, or am I dreaming somebody else's dream? And do I even know what my dream is? Right. And so I think we all kind of go through that.
Yeah. And he said, and something that really hit me, and then I'll talk about myself. He said he looked at his goals that he wrote a year ago, and he said, I don't feel those goals anymore, because those goals feel like I was writing those goals from 3 years ago me, not the new me, and not what I value now. Right. And so there's a conversation taking place currently where we are talking about moving to Costa Rica. I
just got invited out to Costa Rica. You should go. We'll meet up out there.
I'm going in 2 weeks. So the first thought that comes to my mind is I can't. And then the second thought goes, well, why can't I? I already do all my business remotely. Do I need to get some magical number to make it happen? Do I need to be this person to no, I could just do that. And so there's this tack I'm taking with myself is, and I haven't formulated the idea 100% yet. So this is the archaic version of it. But a lot of people wait and then live. I'm going to live and then wait. And so I'm asking myself, like, what is going to give me the most energy? Well, living in Costa Rica and living my truths. Well, what is that going to allow me to do? What's going to allow me to explore internationally what I want to do and what I want to focus on? And then it's going to allow me to show up in my businesses happy and content because I'm doing what I want to do instead of doing what I think I should do. And that's going to only impact my businesses for the better. And so I think these are the questions that we need to be asking ourselves.
I think if you move to Costa Rica, you're going to have a really hard time doing road trips up to Minnesota. I'm just saying. It's going to be really hard to come visit
I didn't say we would never be in the States. I just said that, this is a bigger topic for a longer conversation, but the decentralization of business and money and the way that borders operate these days are changing. And so you're starting to see people like my buddy John Farber, who's spent 6 months this year down in Medellin. And he's like, I'm on the same time zone and I'm happy and I'm playing golf every day and I'm running 3 businesses. And he's like, I've never been this happy and my money's going 30 times farther. So that's for another conversation. But I say all that to say that he's happy with who he is and what he's doing. So his businesses are growing and he's growing as a person. So what are you currently doing right now that is not serving you? Meaning what ideal, what we've been doing, this is really cool experiment, what I've been doing with my clients. I don't think that they don't want the thing anymore. I think that the expectations around what the thing means to them has changed and we need to recalibrate the expectations. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah. I mean, it goes back to what you're saying about the guy saying he's writing goals now, or he's looking at these goals for where he was, not where he is. And, happiness and growth and fulfillment, success is, if that's what this podcast is about, is like always a moving target. And what you deemed a success 5-10 years ago, maybe even last year, maybe even last month, might no longer be relevant. And so I think it requires a whole lot of consistent reflection. And I think sometimes where the like getting out of alignment starts to occur is because like we pop our heads up maybe once a year, maybe every quarter, and we like set the goals, and then we put our heads down and we go to work. We go to work. And then like we're in the grind, not looking up anymore. And sometimes things change really quickly. It can change just on a dime, and you'd be like, this is something that this is one of my limiting beliefs. And that's something that I'm working on or like starting to unpack right now is I have a certain expectation of how long things take. And I think we all do. We all get locked into it, right? Like, how long should it take you to do X, Y, Z? How long should it take me to write a book? How long should it take me to buy a building? How long should it take me to, make $1 million? Like whatever. Like we all have expectations around what that is, but is it true? Is it objectively true? Maybe, probably not. Right? Like it might take me a year to write a book, but it sure as hell doesn't take, James Patterson a year to write a book. Dude's putting out like 20 books a year. So it's doable to do more, right?
So I don't know if you've noticed because you don't consume a ton of content, but recently Brandon Turner has moved off of Bigger Pockets, and he's in a new phase of his life where he's walked away from the 9-year podcast in the last month. And all of a sudden, all of his content is now about mindset, productivity, and life. And I'm in love with him again. Like this shit is the shit that everybody wants to hear. And he puts it in such a framework that is so amazing. He talked about when they got acquired by a private equity firm. And he said they're in a meeting, and he said that all these, Josh and David and him spent 45 minutes telling this dude who runs like, a couple $1 billion, all the things that they were going to do, these 45 different things. And he stopped him dead in his tracks and said, guys, what would you do if money wasn't an option? And they all go, well, that changes everything. And he goes, tell me those things. That's what we're going to do. I think that people need to write their goals and dream as if that's the case, and remove the limiting beliefs that are writing their goals, and just let it be what it is, and inspire to be those things, those dreams and hopes.
That's interesting. I think the first thing that comes to mind is like, write your goals as if money wasn't an option. It's like, what if your goal is around money? What if your goal is to make like $10 million? Like, okay, so how do we reconcile that? But I do think
go ahead.
I think it's interesting. I haven't consumed anything from Brandon since he announced he's leaving Bigger Pockets, so I haven't seen any of his newer stuff. My guess tells me that in 5 to 10 years, he's going to be very much not the real estate guy anymore. He's going to be the mindset, productivity guy. Because think about it this way. I hired a trainer in the last 3 weeks. There's a really good friend of mine who's a mindset coach as well. Never had a trainer in my life. And I thought I was working out. I wasn't working out. I mean, I was getting it done, but we're in a whole different arena with different shoes on, and I'm sore, and it's amazing. And what it's done for me is this simple thing. There's always new levels. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. There's levels to this game. There's levels to every game. And going back to the original point about like, we don't know how long it takes, like we don't have an objective sense for how long it takes to move between levels. So we get like locked into thinking it's going to take 6 months or it's going to take a year, because we kind of live our life on like yearly cadences. And it's like, what if you could compress that? I think it was probably Hormozy who was talking like, how could you compress, like if you had to get your 10-year goal done in 6 months, what would you do? And then you start looking at things differently and having to solve the problem differently. But the problem a lot of us get into, and I do this, I'm guilty, is again, we set the goal and then we go to work. And 2 months later, we start to like get out of alignment with where we were going or why we're going there. And we're not sure why that is. And so, but we just stay the course. We keep doing the thing. And I just think that appraising where we are at any given moment and what's working, what's not working, what's making us happy, what's actually pulling us away from our happiness or our fulfillment. Because actually, like, I don't think happiness is the goal, right? Like fulfillment is, and fulfillment doesn't necessarily come from being happy, right? So, like auditing more consistently on a tighter time frame. Am I living in alignment with what I want for my life?
I love it. So guys, tactical suggestion while we get out of here. every week. Track your wins, track your goals, rewrite them if you need to. Make sure that you are assessing where you are and what your values are, and making sure that other people or business partners or spouses or family members are not injecting their values into you, and make sure that you are focused on what you need and what you need to get out of this world. So I really hope that you enjoyed this. Share this with a friend, send it to somebody, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for joining us here at The Brain Dump. Now, before you go, it's important to solidify what you've learned here today by taking action. If all you do is listen, then you're only going to retain a small amount of the information you consumed here today. So take a quick moment to really lock in any key insights, tidbits, or pieces of wisdom that you want to carry with you into the future. You can do this by heading over to iTunes and leaving a review with your top 3 takeaways from this episode. If you've already left a review, first, thank you so much. Second, it's time to start a brain dump journal. It doesn't have to be fancy, just a slip of paper will do, where you can record a couple quick thoughts from each episode. Science shows this is one of the best ways to ensure long-term retention of new information. And finally, if you've got a brother, a sister, a coworker, or a best friend that you think would benefit from this episode, do them and us a favor and share with them this episode. Your support, as always, means the world to us.